Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Modern Warfare in Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the November 8th patch notes because this was a massive patch that redid footsteps, global lighting, nerfed the 725 shotgun and M4, and did several rebalances to claymores and weapons in general. So we have a lot of stuff to go over today, and I will be showing examples of exact things pre and post patch, but there's a few other little things I want to get out of the way first, such as I'm having a fan meetup and Astro headset giveaway in Dallas, Texas this coming weekend. It's going to be on Saturday, November 16th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Madness Games and Comics, which is in Plano, Texas. I have a link down there below in the description and you'll hear more about it later, but I wanted to mention it here in the beginning of the episode. The patch that we got is massive, especially for a game that's barely been out a week and some change. The patch size is 8.5 gigabytes on PS4 or around 12 gigabytes on PC and Xbox, assuming those patches are bigger because they had more bugs to fix. There is a new smaller 3-lane map called Shoot House, which has been added to 6v6. This is literally a simple 3-lane map, kind of like the ones the community wanted, and that is what you're seeing gameplay of right now. I got this gameplay at like 3 in the morning my time, so it wasn't put into normal rotation yet, so I'm just playing against bots, yes. And the new Ground War map has been added to Grobnik Farms, if I'm not mistaken, but that, as of recording this in-depth episode, has not been added to playlist. Challenges have finally been fixed and are tracking properly as far as I can tell, so you'll be able to keep track of them and, just complete your challenges like a normal human being. There are many map collision issues that have been fixed. These are collision issues from player height to window height to clipping little pieces of ground when you're trying to shoot over them. A lot of that's kind of cleaned up. Movement speed has been restored to beta movement speed. Apparently, they reduced movement speed 5% from the beta to now. So what this did is reverted the changes back to the beta, so we're back to our 100% beta movement speed. The very annoying bug where the riot shield would not move to the player's back if they were holding down a thermite or throwing knife has been fixed, so now the people that are chunking knives and thermite at you will be vulnerable when they have the riot shield. Mounted recoil is slightly increased, making it a less effective strategy, and I'm assuming this is just a nerf to camping in general. And most importantly, perhaps more than anything else in this update, is that enemies can no longer hear your battle chatter and your operator speaks less frequently. So essentially, when you would, try to creep up on somebody and your person would scream like enemy in the window or X-ray spotted, and they would turn around and hose you because they could hear you talking, that's gone. Enemies can no longer hear your operator speaking. And they changed the amount of time you have to be looking at an enemy and the look cone and a couple of other different things so that your operator and your team's operators are just jabbering a bit less. Footsteps have been rebalanced to be more quiet, and they also get more muffled behind walls. I do have a test of that, of the old footsteps and the new ones, so go ahead and crank your volume up to maximum and give a listen.
Enemy near Main Street.
To me, that wasn't the biggest change to footsteps. I can still hear them somewhat clearly. However, when I was playing the game with the bots and in Ground War, what I noticed is that in a normal game with people shooting and moving and things going on, the way this works is if you're walking or crouching, you're going to be pretty difficult to hear, and you won't hear people kind of across the street. You will hear people sprinting if they're sprinting close to you, but not just like super far away, which is kind of how I feel it should be. I was able to hear the bots and smack Teo and turn on them and kill them reasonably, but not like crazy far. So I think that's a good change. One of the things that was supposed to have been done to the M4 is it's supposed to have slightly increased recoil now. So I decided to test the old M4 before the patch came, and I did it standing, crouched, and prone. You probably saw this on the recoil control episode, and you'll notice that when I crouch and prone, the recoil is about halved, essentially, maybe cut in thirds. And that is the old M4 spread pattern. I think we're all very familiar with that. I don't need to leave it on screen that long, but just commit it to memory because we're about to swap over to the new M4. The new M4, when standing, I really couldn't tell that big of a difference, to be honest with you. It is like maybe like a minor recoil nerf. The first couple of shots wobble a little bit more, and you'll notice that when I crouch and prone, I no longer get any accuracy bonus whatsoever. So basically, the crouching and proning are about the same, and the recoil is maybe slightly less consistent, slightly more side to side, but that is a very, very minor recoil nerf, if any at all. And one thing I did want to make a note of is that all recoil modifying stance bugs have been fixed. So originally, if you were to crouch or prone out, you could get better, or in some cases worse, recoil, if you've seen that particular in-depth episode. But what they did is completely removed that feature from the game, so now all weapons have the exact same recoil pattern, whether you're standing, crouching, or proned out. My assumption is that they discovered this bug and they just couldn't fix it in time for some reason, so they just decided to revert it back to old school no stance modifiers whatsoever. The M4 did get several other nerfs that are important, and we'll talk about here and then a little bit more for the other rifle changes. The hipfire spread was slightly increased from a radius of 50 pixels to a radius of 60 pixels, so very minor change there, but I was able to measure it. The long range damage has been decreased from 23 down to 18, and this is a huge nerf because it means that it is now a 6-shot kill at long ranges, and that's assuming you're hitting body and not just legs or something. This makes the M4 a much worse gun for long-range gunfights in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And finally, we are moving into the 725 shotgun. The 725 shotgun got a noticeable nerf to its range, and it has wider hipfire spread, and it has slower aim down sights time. What I decided to do was test the pre and post patch 725 so that you guys can see the difference. This is the one-shot kill range of the old 725 with no attachments whatsoever. The new 725 is ever so slightly closer. The transition is so much that you guys probably didn't notice it. This is the old 725 with maximum range enhancing attachments, getting headshots, and that is pretty long range, and you'll notice I do have to get a little bit closer here when I move over to the new 725. It's a bigger change than with or without attachments. To the best of my ability to tell, one of the effects of the patch isn't so much that the base range has gone down, but your ability to kit out the weapon to truly get that crazy like maximum attachment long shot is diminished. Your attachments are no longer as important on the 725, at least when it comes to range. Next up is a weird one. This is a bug that Exclusive Ace found. He shared it with me last night. It's not something that was addressed in the patch or fixed in the patch, and it may be something that Infinity Ward doesn't even know about, but he was doing some offline testing and he noticed that there is a significant bug when it comes to corner peeking, such that sometimes you can see people around corners and they can't see you at all. And of note, these screenshots were not him sprinting around the corner to test lag, but rather both parties standing completely still. If you want to know more about this, he posted a video today. I'll have it linked down there below in the description if I'm up early enough. But for now, let's hear from Ace himself. So that little segment I showed you, I didn't discover. That was Exclusive Ace over here, this handsome devil with the big red beard. And we have partnered for the first time in ever this year to try to demystify Modern Warfare. So how's it going, man?
Oh, that's good. You're just working on being better than you.
Oh, okay. That's a good goal. If you get better than me, you'll be really good. And I noticed that you are wearing a very special pair of headsets. What headsets do you use at home?
I'm using the Astro 850. Absolutely love them.
Very nice. I'm on the A40 train myself. Astro is a fantastic company. I'd highly encourage you to click that 5% off link down there in the description.
Yeah, speaking of that, did you reach out to them about that sponsorship and reaching out to me potentially?
Yeah, no, I did that. I did that last week. I sent in the recommendation, and they said they were going to contact you about it.
Are you sure? Because I haven't received anything yet from them.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm looking at my messages right now. Yeah, you're there. You're supposed to be in the program.
Well, I'm not seeing anything here.
You're kind of going robotic on Discord. I can't really hear you. Can you say that again?
Oh, I'm not seeing an email
here. It must be really bad Canadian internet. We're gonna have to do this later. Moving along, let's talk about claymores. The claymore damage and claymore blast area have been reduced. It also cannot kill you if you shoot it. I'm going to give you some examples of this so that you know what we're talking about here. The old Claymores would kill you if you shot them from behind to disable them, even at significant range. You could be well outside the laser range of the Claymore, and if it detonated or if you shot it, you would die. And also, you could get really, really close to just being like parallel with the Claymore, and it would still, perpendicular to it, and it would still just kill you. The new Claymore, you can just put your barrel into and shoot, and you take absolutely no damage whatsoever from behind, which is a godsend. And you can creep pretty close to it and even shoot it from the front and blow it up in your face, but the damage is capped such that if you shoot it at any range, it won't kill you. And I just kind of wanted to test the new Claymore range, and I think they made it perfectly exactly within the lasers, because I had to get really close to trigger that explosion. I think this is a great change, and I think it's going to help counter some of the camping in the game. But the next thing that we need to talk about when it comes to camping in Modern Warfare is the global lighting adjustment. Part of this update was that it was supposed to change lighting, and that can include your player outline, your window lighting, your transition lighting, and a whole bunch of stuff. So I got some examples pre and post patch here to compare, and unfortunately I didn't find a very big difference when doing this. When I played the game, especially on Ground War later at night, it felt better. That might be placebo, it might be more that it's noticeable when I'm moving, or maybe it's a light transition thing, but I did some stationary tests, and these are the results. Tested out one of the camper windows on Grozny, and honestly I couldn't see a very big difference here in noticing the players. I will admit the inside of the building was slightly more clear. I did the same thing kind of creeping up the stairs, and they're not that different from one another. They look about the same when it comes to noticeability. I will say the image on the right of the guy sitting in the window is slightly more clear, but slightly is the imperative word here. We have Dr. Disrespect's famous corner, and in this case, the new version actually got worse somehow. I'm not sure how that happened, but this lighting change was a negative one in my opinion, and I think it got slightly worse in here as well, though it may have just been the colors that the operator were wearing. Either way, the global lighting adjustment that's supposed to make it easier to spot players is not the biggest or most noticeable of changes, so I don't think that aspect of Modern Warfare is going to be very different for you guys. Moving along, there was a nerf to about half of the assault rifles. The long-range damage for all 5.56 assault rifles was reduced from 23 at long range to 18 at long range, and this is a huge nerf. It's the same one the M4 got, but all the 5.56 rifles got it, and this means it goes from 5 to 6 shots to kill, not even counting legs and other weird multipliers. So this makes all of them less viable at long ranges and gives you more reasons to use DMRs, 7.62s, and light machine guns. The M4 Kilo, M13, and AK hipfire spreads have all been slightly increased from 50 pixels up to 60, same as the M4 Nerf we talked about earlier. The Scar and the Odin got more customized ones, with the Scar going from 50 pixels up to 70, and the Odin jumping only 5 pixels. A very, very slight one there. That one might literally just be human error of my measuring. The SMGs have all been buffed as well. They have faster sprint out and aim down sights times and faster move speed. This is one that unfortunately I haven't tested because I haven't moved into the SMG testing phase of in-depth yet, so I'm just going to have to trust the patch notes that they have changed, and all I can say is that they felt a little bit more snappy, but as we know here on this channel, feelings aren't always right. The Uzi got a range increase too to make it a more viable weapon, because it really had such a slow rate of fire for an SMG. The DPS was too low, or time to kill was too low. Same thing, just invert each other. And it wasn't a very competitive weapon, so this helps it be better, generally. There were slight nerfs to the MG34, PKM, and M91 LMGs. Most of them got handling and range nerfs, such that they would aim down sights slower or sprint out slower, slightly worse hip fire, slightly worse range. Very minor nerfs overall to kind of make them slower and more methodical weapons, whereas the exact opposite was done to the pistols. There were slight buffs to all pistols, mostly in terms of handling, such as aim down sights and sprint out time, but some of them also got slight damage range increases like the M19 and X16 that'll help make them more viable. Guys, that is all for the patch notes. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something useful. I hope you enjoyed me slaughtering bots on the new map. It was just the only way I could get gameplay this late at night. And if you did enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe, or click that Astro link down there in the description and pick yourself up a controller or headset. Drifter out.